In today's video, we're showing you how to make this customizable wall quilt with one of the letters being Velcro, so you can swap in your own design. Let's get started.
All right, the project we're working on now is has a few parts to it, and what we're going to do here is we are going to applique a large letter H onto a base fabric that's going to eventually be a quilt. So the materials we're using is we're going to use our Rip Stitch 20 for the template. We're going to finish off the applique material with our thermo seal. And then when we go to actually embroider, we're going to use the white sheer stitch. That's a nice thin no-show stabilizer. We've got our all stitch bobbins ready. We're going to need that 505 temporary spray adhesive. And here we have our poly neon green. That is going to be the outline of the letters. Beautiful color here. This is our applique material. Napkins make great material for applique because they have like a twill kind of effect to them, so they have some like some stiffness to the material, which works out great. And we have our quilting base material, which is this kind of a rough looking white light gray, and that's going to be the base material for this letter H. So we need to make a template for that letter H, and I just use a nice tearaway. I hoop that, put it at the machine, and I like to just use literally the placement stitch of the design. The placement stitch is a really great tool to use to create your template. So I just simply stitch it out in kind of a dark thread so I can see it on the white. And as you do this, always make sure you have the front of the template marked and which is up. So I've done that there just to make sure when I go to put it on the material, it's on there correctly. So I'm going to set that aside and just show you after you cut it out, it's going to look like this. If you cut right along those stitch lines, you can kind of feel it. You really want to get rid of the thread itself. So you want to be cutting right on there. The thread might be hanging there a little bit. But you want that to be the same exact size as those stitch lines. So I've done that, and then what you do is we are going to trace it onto our prepared applique material. You simply use a pencil or a pen to outline it, which I've done there. Again, you're going to cut that out, and now I have my templated applique letter. Next, we're going to show you how to prepare that applique material. So here I have a roll of thermo seal. This is a waterproof sealant, but it's also great for finishing fabric that you're going to applique with. With applique material, you can get some fraying a little bit on the edges, especially if it's woven. So you want to give it something of some substance. So this comes on a roll, and I simply rolled it out to get the length I needed and cut it. I've already got it started on there. And what I have already done ahead of time, previously I did put a piece there. So what I did was I lined this guy up right along the seam. So you can do that if your roll's not wide enough. You can put 2 pieces next to each other. And then what I do is I take this iron, little points, and I want to give it just a little bit of tack down on the edges. This is just to kind of hold it into place. I want to kind of do that all the way around. Kind of see where it's sticking really well. And I do that just to simply hold it into place. Then I really don't want to put my iron on this thermoseal because it does get a little melty on the top, even though it's not really, it's just because of the material it's made of. So I got my handy press cloth here, just a tea towel that's all made out of nice cotton, so that can take the heat. And from here, I'm gonna press it on, and you're holding it in spot for about 15 seconds per spot. So this is what we're going to do to prepare the material. So this is prior to our tracing out the template and tracing it out on the material. She's a little wrinkled there. I want to try and get in there and see if we can flatten her out. Kind of get some more right there on the edges. So don't know if you know that, but that's a nice 360 degree. So you got the point on that side, you got the point on that side, that's where it hooks up. And notice there's no cord. How cool is that? It's my favorite thing. Now we're getting ready to embroider. We're going to applique this H that we already prepared onto our base material. I have an 8.5 by 8.5 square of a quilting material. That's going to go on there with a really pretty teal color thread. Before we do that, I do need to hoop it. And because I have a 7.5 inch hoop and it's only 8.5 inches wide, I'm going to use some spray adhesive to give it a little more adhesion. It'll help with the hooping a little bit. I do have to hoop it nice and evenly so that I can get the H right in the middle. So we'll get that base material down. Take that out. Press that on a little more. And then this is where I really need to kind of center her. We don't have a lot of overhang, but I need a hoop this big in order to do that H. If you wanted to, you could do the embroidery before you trim it. And there she is, all ready to go. So we're going to go to the machine at this point. All right, so this is applique. This is thermoseal. It's only adhesive on one side. So I'm going to use the temporary spray adhesive, the Oda 505. And we're going to put that aside once we spray that. Pull it away from your machine. All right, let's set that aside over there. And we are going to run the placement stitch. Placement stitch on there, and that really pretty teal. I'm taking my H. I've got arrows to show me what is the top. So I'm going to start laying that down in here. And the nice thing about this spray adhesive is that it is repositionable. And what I'm looking to see is a little bit of that teal kind of hanging out the edge all around the H. So if I had to pick it up and reposition it, I can. So far, I'm looking pretty good. That one's going on there very nice. So it's really important to mark your which way's up, which way's down. On your template, you even want to mark what's the front, what's the back. You know, this letter was hand digitized, so not every one of these little corners is exactly the same. So even though the H could look the same up or down, it might not line up. So make sure that those are. So we're going to go ahead and put that right back on the machine, and it's going to run the satin stitches, and then, I'm sorry, it's going to run the tack down stitches, and then it will finish with the satin stitches on the edge, and it's going to be all done. All right, so that tack down stitch went around. You can see it's a little bit off here, a little bit off there. I'm a little afraid that that's not going to quite cover with the satin stitch. I do have a pretty wide one. Here's a nice pair of double curves. So double curves so you can get down into the hoop. That curve that goes up ensures you're not going to kind of grab or rip your material. So I'm going to go in there and just kind of snip a little bit. Get it a little closer to that placement, and then it kind of ensures that you don't have any yellow fabric hanging out. It is adhered, remember, with the odor, so you can go in there and kind of release it. And that one's not too bad there. Maybe over here, loosen that up a little. Oops. I did grab the thread there a little bit, so I want to be careful. I do think that that'll be okay. The adhesive's going to hold it. Maybe just a little more up here. I think that's going to be okay, but I do want it to look good. So get a little more out of there. That's better. It's a little long one here. I think I got to come in from the other side. That looks pretty good. I do want to get rid of all that excess. Now it's going to go in, do a little more, couple more lines of underlay, tack down, and then a beautiful satin stitch on the end. And she is all done. She looks great. We are going to go ahead, unhoop her, and we'll trim away the excess backing, and we'll give her a quick press. These squares are going to be quilted into a wall hanging, and it's going to spell out home, H-O-M-E. Turn her over and give her a little bit of a press. Oh. Don't put your pressing cloth. Take those threads. Today we use polyneon green. Just enough to get the hoop burn out, and kind of let those threads relax a little bit. So there's our H. You're going to repeat that process with the M and the E. And we have one of our multiple interchangeable patches that we're going to use to create the O. And that's going to be put on with Velcro. Check out our Velcro patches, how to make those. And next you're going to see the quilt put together.
All Stitch, all the supplies, all the savings, every day.